Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to our 150th anniversary AEU dinner. Everyone complains about the mics. Who is Mike anyway? I mean, makes all this trouble around here. Well, so we had a wonderful day. Did everyone have a wonderful day? Yeah. We had tours of the building, we had workshops, we had business meeting that went through and ended, and that was great. So we could accomplish stuff, and we did. So the theme of this whole weekend really is eliciting the best, then, now, and tomorrow. And now is now. And we like to eat, so that's a big part of our now. But it's wonderful for us all to get together. I've been coming to these assemblies with few breaks for got to be about 20 years. And there's a core group of people who love to come to assemblies, and they're really all wonderful friends from around the country. And I hope you all have taken the time to meet ethical culturists from other societies, and like, who else knows this funny language that we have, you know? So we're all really together. Just a couple of things to remember. We have restrooms right back here, and we're all here, so I guess we all found seats. So that's really great. We've got capacity, and that's so wonderful. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start with the first awards, and then we're going to move to the main course, which is warming up over here, and followed by more awards, and then music from a group, the Trusselins, the Trusselinas. One of them or all of them. So let me start by inviting Scott Wright, President of the AEU, to welcome us all here. Scott?
All right, thank you, Rich. Can everybody hear me? No? Get closer to the microphone. There we go. All right. My name is Scott Wright. I am the current president of the American Ethical Union. I also represent the St. Louis Society. Let's start tonight with some gratitude. I'm very thankful to the New York Society for Ethical Culture for hosting us in this beautiful and historic building. Can we give them a round of applause? This weekend has been an awful lot of work from an awful lot of people. I'd like to particularly thank the Assembly Committee and all of our presenters today. If you are part of that committee or presenter, please raise your hand so you can be recognized, and let's give them all a round of applause. So if any of you were here yesterday for our opening ceremony, we learned a lot about our fertile roots and the legacy that we are continuing together. And my particular focus is in our current moment and to center on the present. Why are we here now, and what can we do together? How can each of us use our inalienable powers, which is this turn of phrase I've come to be fond of, our unique powers that cannot be transferred or removed and are unique to each of us. We each have unique knowledge, skills, abilities. We have a unique voice, a unique presence, and relationships that we bring to our movement. Tonight, we are here to honor the exemplar champions from within the community and within our movement who have used their powers through service to make the world more democratic, compassionate, just, and sustainable. And for that, they deserve our sincere gratitude and celebration. And with that, I welcome you all here, and I'll hand it back to Rich. Thank you.
So tonight is an awards night. This is a long tradition in ethical culture that we honor people within and without the movement. And first we're going to award the Elliott-Black Award. The Elliott-Black Award is given in recognition and in tribute to an individual or an organization in the larger community that has made a significant positive impact on society and the achievement of ethical ideals. It was established by the AEU in 1971 to honor two long-term and greatly esteemed leaders of the ethical movement, John Lovejoy Elliott and Algernon Black. Both were known for their personal courage and for going above and beyond in their commitment to social justice. Some of the past awardees included 1979, Karen Silkwood, who blew the whistle on safety hazards in nuclear facilities and lost her life in that. Derek Bell, in 1991, founder of critical race theory, for his compassion and courageous example. In 1997, it was Judge Abner Mikva. I guess none of us remember him, but he was had lifelong commitment and advocacy on behalf of the poor, the disadvantaged, and the oppressed, as a lawyer, as a congressman, a judge, and ultimately legal counsel for a president. In 2000, we awarded it to the Innocence Project, a clinical law group providing pro bono legal assistance to inmates who are challenging their conviction on the basis of DNA. Just a couple others. 2007, the Committee to Protect Journalists, and in 2019, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School students. Yeah, they showed tremendous bravery in taking up the movement to end gun violence. Well, okay, so I'm going to call up Steve Serling, who is New York Society's vice president, to introduce the Elliott-Black awardee.
All right. Good evening. So, PBS, it evokes a sense of nostalgia, curiosity, and even comfort. Unlike commercial television, it was often associated with learning, imagination, and even calm. For generations of Americans, PBS has been more than a television station. What people remember depends on their generation, though. But several themes consistently emerge from programs such as Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Sesame Street, Reading Rainbow, for the Millennials, The Magic School Bus, and Arthur. It has been a trusted companion in childhood through generations, introducing us to books, science, music, history, and perhaps most importantly, to kindness, curiosity, and the belief that learning is for everyone. Long before many of us entered a classroom, PBS helped shape how we saw the world and our place within it. For adults, PBS extends the same mission it began in childhood, not simply to educate, but to cultivate informed, engaged citizens. Through journalism, documentaries, public affairs programming, and community partnerships, PBS helps strengthen democracy by encouraging people to understand issues, consider multiple perspectives, and participate in civic life. PBS is a deeply deserving recipient of the Elliott-Black Award for its enduring commitment to advancing ethical ideals through education, civic engagement, and the pursuit of informed democracy. For decades, PBS has provided free, accessible, and trusted programming that encourages critical thinking, elevates diverse voices, and explores the complex social, historical, and cultural issues that shape our communities. The New York Society for Ethical Culture has experienced that commitment firsthand through its partnership with PBS Frontline and Erika Howard, Senior Impact Producer for Frontline, who is here today to accept the award and provide brief remarks. Ms. Howard, along with NYSEC staff member Marlene Williamson, curated a multi-part civic engagement series that brought together New York City public school students to view selected documentary clips and engage in meaningful dialogue and amplify their own voices on issues affecting their communities. One of my own students at the High School for Climate Justice sat on the Adler Hall stage with Ms. Howard as a panelist. That experience gave her the confidence to further participate in civic engagement as she led a participatory budgeting project to renovate student bathrooms, a major complaint of students, on behalf of our high school, and successfully secured $350,000. And yeah, you appreciate it. And that came from former Deputy Speaker, Councilwoman Diana Ayala's office. This collaboration, Ms. Howard's department exemplifies PBS's belief that young people are not merely audiences, but active participants in our democracy. At a time when misinformation, polarization challenge the fabric of public life and attacks by our current president, PBS continues to exemplify the values of integrity, inclusion, and service to the common good. Like John Lovejoy Elliott and Elliott-Black, whose lives embodied the courage to pursue justice beyond conventional limits, PBS has demonstrated that education, ethical inquiry, and respectful public discourse and those are powerful forces for creating a more just, compassionate, and democratic society. The American Ethical Union is honored to recognize the Public Broadcasting Service, PBS, with the Elliott-Black Award. I would like to call up Ms. Erika Howard to accept this award and provide brief remarks. Ms. Howard leads currently the direction for impact in public programs for the documentary series at PBS Frontline. She joined Frontline from POV American Documentary, where she served as the Senior Director of Station Marketing and Audience Engagement, and created engagement campaigns and partnerships for such titles as Dark Money, my favorite, Bill Nye, the Science Guy, Whose Streets, and Minding the Gap. She previously served as the marketing manager for Women Make Movies. Please put your hands together for Miss Erika Howard of PBS Frontline.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you so much for granting us this beautiful award. As you can see, I'm very moved by this. It's truly a very humbling honor. I want to take some time to share some remarks. Okay. I want to take some time to share some remarks that are both I want to take some time to share some remarks that are both professional and personal. For the last several weeks, I've been asking myself a very simple question. What are we here for? That question is first to myself, but also rhetorically to you, and is a very existential one. Over the last 2 weeks, I've experienced tremendous loss where two people that I love and are very precious passed away. They were only in their 50s. And it really made me question, why do I exist at such a time as this? And what am I here for? One of the people who passed away is a PBS executive who's very dear to us and super supportive of all the work that we've done, especially the work that we've done here with you. And so as we celebrate and we have these honors and these awards, I do want to take some time to celebrate the lives of those like this PBS executive who've left a legacy. So I've been in the PBS family for about 10 years now and 7 years at Frontline. And I often ask about the purpose of our programming. Does it simply inform us? Does it expose wrongdoing? Does it document history? And yes, it does all those things. But after the experiences that I've had that has brought me here tonight, working in public media and communities around the country, creating impact programs and community engagement programs, and working in partnership with great people like Marlene Williamson and Audrey Kendrick, I've come to believe that PBS frontline journalism fulfills its highest purpose when the stories that we produce and tell don't just end with the end of the story, but when the stories begin again with meaningful and transformative conversations. Conversations that we have within ourselves with thoughtful contemplation and that we have with one another. Conversations that transcend all the things that often divide our society. Issues around race, issues around who gets to come to this country and start a new life by immigrating here. Issues around social economics, about who has and who doesn't have. Issues around misinformation and disinformation that misshape or diminish our critical thinking and thereby lessen our understanding of one another. The programming and documentary journalism from PBS Frontline shines a light into dark corners of the world and exposes troubling issues. But it also illuminates, shining a light on you and me and the young people, that it beckons to us to understand that we are individually as human beings. It beckons to us to understand who we are individually as human beings and how we are showing up to treat others in a manner that respects and honors their humanity. And that is why this evening means so much to me. The Elliott-Black Award bears the name of two especially remarkable people who understood something about life and the meaning of life. The issues that they bravely addressed so urgently during their time decades ago still stand with us urgently today in 2026. I've learned that John Lovejoy Elliott believed communities grow stronger when neighbors come together. Algernon Black believed democracy depended on ethical courage and thoughtful inquiry and the willingness to see another's humanity. Neither Elliott or Black believed democracy could survive through institutions alone. They believed it depended on people. And I believe that they saw through the corridors of time and had hope to see a moment like this one, where we're gathered together and we're willing to grow and in some way contribute to the making of a better world. In many ways, I think that's exactly what we're being called to do today, because we're living in a moment where outrage and anger in person and online travels really fast. When judgment and division sometimes speaks louder than curiosity, openness, and acceptance. And yet I remain profoundly hopeful, because I have seen what becomes possible when people are invited to honest and transformative conversations. As Steve shared earlier about the example of partnering with Marlene and Audrey, we brought together students, high school students and college students from around the city, students from different neighborhoods, different backgrounds, different political points of view, and different lived experiences. And we didn't ask them to agree. We asked them to respect one another and to think. We asked them to wrestle with difficult questions, to ask better questions of one another, to see journalism as not as the end of learning about an issue, but as the beginning of civic participation, and to know that example lives out is proof that there was a seed that was deeply planted that grew. Something impressive happened amongst those young people who are often so wrongly described as disengaged. They are not. During those times, they fully leaned in. They challenged one another. They imagined a better democracy than what we're living in now. And they reminded all of us that when we trust young people and we center their voices, they can and will rise to meet the moment. And they modeled thoughtful conversation about our society with a maturity and a grace that sometimes adults don't model, and sometimes are not modeled by the adults who are in decision-making positions that have power and influence in our society. These experiences, working in partnership with your organization, has taught me something that I will carry for the rest of my life. That investigative journalism is not only about bearing witness about important issues, But when it is also aligned with the right community partner, it can also create a safe space where others bear witness to one another. That may be one of the greatest gifts that I think PBS can offer communities that we work with and communities that we serve. Excuse me. Tonight, I also think about two other people whose lives have shaped my own understanding of this work. The first is the great and the amazing Bill Moyers. Early in my career, yes. Early in my career, I had the privilege of working as a young staffer on his production team. And like so many Americans, I admired his brilliance. But what stayed with me wasn't his intellect, it was his generosity. He had a special way of making every person who sat across from him at the discussion table feel that their story mattered. He understood that asking thoughtful questions was every bit as important as having thoughtful answers. He believed audiences were capable of wrestling with complexity, and he respected them enough not to underestimate their intelligence or the importance of their role in our democracy. The second person is someone from our PBS family who we lost exactly 1 week ago. She died suddenly and unexpectedly. Her name is Dr. Sylvia Bugg. She was PBS's chief programming officer. She is the person that's behind a lot of the programming that you enjoy on PBS. She believed deeply in the mission of public media. She believed in the excellence of PBS and the compassion that can be found in communities should work together, as has been exemplified with partnering with you all. She believed our work should always serve the public. She was generous with her encouragement, gracious with her leadership, and unwavering in her commitment to the people around her. We will miss her deeply and dearly. She exemplified the best of us at PBS. I'm also thinking of our frontline staff who produce such high quality journalism. The public only knows them basically through their titles: executive producer, managing editor, senior director of local journalism, and so on. Excuse me. But I know them behind the scenes as Rainey, Erin, Frank, Marjan, Miles, Priyanka, and more. These are people who spend long, long hours trying to get it right, sacrificing time from their personal lives, applying the highest standards of journalism ethics, making sure to get it right so that the greater public knows that what they're viewing and hearing is not only newsworthy, it is also absolutely trustworthy. And I also want you to know that the work that we did together, I went back to the staff and shared it during a meeting. And I was blessed that they listened to what happened here with you, and they responded with thunderous applause. So in this recognition that also honors the values and the spirit of Bill Moyers, the values and the spirit of Dr. Sylvia Bugg, and the values and the spirit of the frontline team who continue that legacy at PBS, I finally do want to say that the hope and the legacy of Mr. Elliott, Mr. Black, it didn't look away from difficult truths. Their hope chose to believe that difficult truths are not the end of the story. So every time a young person raises a hand to ask a thoughtful question, challenges a false narrative, or chooses dialogue over dismissal, and every time journalism informs us and helps us to understand our world a little bit more clearly, democracy becomes stronger. Not all at once, but one encounter, one conversation, and one act of listening at a time. So tonight I accept this award with profound gratitude on behalf of PBS and Frontline, and I'm reminded that the future of democracy is not something we inherit, it's something that we practice. And the legacy of Elliott and Black is understood very simply, believing that ordinary people, when invited into thoughtful community, can build an extraordinary society. And I believe that too, after all I've witnessed amongst you. I believe that the best chapters of our country and our communities are still waiting to be written by us and the younger generation, and that answers for me that existential question: what are we here for? Thank you very much.
So on behalf of the AEU, I'd like to present to you the Elliott-Black Award.
Well, we're coming to an important part of the evening. We are about to award the Felix Adler Lifetime Achievement Award. This is the highest individual honor bestowed by the AEU to recognize the lifetime service that has significantly advanced the ethical culture movement. The award honors individuals whose lifetime of leadership, scholarship, education, and public service have stimulated the growth of the ethical culture movement. It was awarded, to my knowledge, only 3 times in the past. Just really quickly, in 2019, Erickson, for his dedication to growing ethical culture movement, and his book, The Humanist Way, is on sale in the lobby, and it's required reading. 2011, Dr. Howard Radist, for 7 decades, an active involvement in the ethical culture movement, serving as a leader, an educator, and author, and an authority on medical ethics. And in 2010, Rose L. Walker, for promoting a close mutual relationship between the American Ethical Union and the United Nations, with NES. And tonight, we honor someone who's made an impact in all these categories. So let me call up Ellen McBride, member of New York Society for Ethical Culture and the Bergen Society, to introduce the Felix Adler Lifetime Achievement Awardee.
How's that? Okay. I'm going to give you some repetition, I'm afraid, but good evening. And I again welcome you to our annual AEU Awards ceremony. As stated, I'm Ellen McBride. The other half of the team was Steve Serling. And I'm a member of both New York and Bergen societies. It's a pleasure to welcome you to our 150th anniversary and to this awards ceremony here in the building where ethical culture had its first real home. Felix Adler might be surprised to see Adler Hall and to have his portrait on loan from the Metropolitan Museum look down at us in Ceremonial Hall. I joined the New York Society in 1964. The next year, I was married here in Adler Hall by Dr. Matthew E. Spetter, better known as Ease, who you heard about yesterday in Carolyn Parker's wonderful talk. There have been many aesthetic changes since then to Adler Hall. It was the meeting house, we called it then, and one of them was the center aisle. There was none. There were 2 side aisles, and the purple cushions didn't exist. The organ was our music, played by Ashley Miller, if anybody remembers that. The signage overhead read, "The place where men come to seek the highest is holy ground." We're still in the process of replacing that signage. And of course, not without an ethical discussion about whether men can best be replaced by people or we. My children started Sunday school here, and they still remember the gym and the rooftop playground. We moved to New Jersey, and after having driven in for many years, we moved to the Bergen Society. We then moved back to New York, and I rejoined NYSAC That was a new word for me. I never heard of NISAC before. Having ties to both places, I have kept both memberships. Ethical culture has been a steady presence in my life, and I'm happy to be able to honor Dr. Arthur Dobrin tonight, whose seminal book, Spelling God with 2 O's, still exemplifies the best practices to follow as we move into the future. As was stated, the Felix Adler Lifetime Achievement Award is the American Ethical Union's highest individual honor and recognizes a lifetime of service that has significantly advanced ethical culture and ethical humanism. Arthur Dobrin is in every way most deserving of this award. I have known Arthur, long enough that I can call him Arthur, for many years, likely almost 50. We saw each other over many events and both spent a week at the mountain near Asheville at the marvelous AEU Lay Leadership School, which I hope comes back. Also there that week and here at this assembly are Randy Best and Clayson, who became leaders. They were part of our class. And both Arthur and Joan Johnson Lewis, who was here, also were on the staff. A fellow student was here with me tonight. I've seen her many times over the years, Lynn Napoli, who's also here from the Long Island Society. When I joined NISAC, I did an interview with Arthur on colloquy, and it exists in the member section of the New York Society website. I believe that Arthur also uses it for training. Arthur served, I'm going to go a bit now into Arthur, not just me. Arthur served as a Peace Corps volunteer, along with his wife, Lynn, who joins him here tonight. I also note the many family members and many Long Island members. They fill many tables here tonight. Okay. Arthur served in the Peace Corps as a volunteer along with his wife, Lynn, and the Peace Corps experience left a lifetime connection to Kenya, the beautiful land and the people. After returning to America, Arthur had 3 simultaneous careers: professor, author, and leader. He served more than 2 decades on the faculty of Hofstra University, where he retired as professor emeritus. The courses he taught ranged from moral development to African literature, as well as business and religious ethics. Arthur also became a member of Ethical Culture when he returned, and thereafter the leader of the Long Island Society. He served for 33 years, becoming leader emeritus, a lot of emeritus, in 2001. During his time as leader, Arthur created colloquy. Colloquy is still the most practiced and unique form of teaching ethics and reflecting on ethics and moral life. Colloquy is unique to ethical culture, and after all these years, still relevant, still practiced, and I heard this morning there were 20 people in the colloquy section. And tomorrow at 8 o'clock, you got to get up a little early, Ken Novak will be leading another colloquy here at 8 o'clock, so we can all experience it. There are many books that Arthur has written, from philosophy to fiction to children's literature and more. But to me, this one stands out as belonging to ethical culture as a basis for moral development. I'm only touching on a few of Arthur's many endeavors as a scholar, leader, mentor, and writer. He has enhanced my life as well as many of those here today. So I'm going to welcome Arthur to come up and speak to us.
Don't sit down, Rob. You're going to come up and fix the microphone. Is that okay? Thank you all. Before I make my remarks, I just want to let you know that on the table on the side are copies of Spelling God with 2 O's, which are there for your taking. I brought 30 copies. That's all that I had that remained. They're there. Take them. Not if you're a member of the Long Island Society. You all have those, or you should have them. But anybody else, yeah, they're over here. The other thing I want to mention about the colloquies is that I would be happy to offer 5 months of colloquy experience for those people on Zoom, wherever you are, in any ethical society or fellowship or a member at large. Spend 5 months with me 1 night a week on Zoom, experiencing what colloquy is, on the condition that if you found it a useful experience, you'll bring it back to your society and institute it there. So you could let me know however you want to reach me. That would be fine. So I do want to start by recognizing those people who have received this award previously. Their names have been mentioned. I happen to have been around long enough that I knew all 3. Rose Walker is the one I knew least well, and what I remember most about Rose was her indefatigable energy and her hats and her passion for women's causes, and in particular the United Nations. And she was the deserving of the first award, Felix Adler Award, her service to women and to the United Nations. Second person I want to mention is Ed Erickson, who was the leader of the Washington Society for many years, and then became one of the leaders here at the New York Society. He was instrumental in establishing conscientious objector status for people on a non-religious basis. He testified before Congress and helped establish some of the legislation around that, which was particularly important during the war in Vietnam. The third person is Howard Radist, who is the person who I really knew best. He had been the leader and founding leader of the Bergen Society, built that into a really vibrant society across the river, then became the executive director of the American Ethical Union, and then became the director of the Ethical Culture Schools before he retired to South Carolina, where he became an expert in medical ethics and taught at hospitals and universities down there. I most want to thank, of course, my family. That goes, I shouldn't say without saying. I say it. It isn't without saying. My family, who I think many of you know, certainly the Long Islanders know them, but that's my family here. Almost all, some couldn't make it today. It is wonderful that you have been supportive and have been part of my family. It has been really essential. As I think back about an articles that I have had published, one I came across I had forgotten that I had written just very recently, which was talking about the importance of being a father. And I said, of all the things that I've done, the one that has been most important to me has been a father. And I ended by saying, and I hope that someday I'll be able to also experience this with my children and with my grandchildren. And I have. We have been wonderful My granddaughter is here. She has a little bit of tears. I have a lot of tears. And Lynn, I think most people know Lynn. And also some of my oldest some of my oldest friends, my friend Alan, who says he remembers when I came home, when my mother brought me home from the hospital, which cannot be true since he's only 2 years older than me. I want to return to Howard Radist, because I got to know Howard when he was the executive director of the American Ethical Union. When I was in the Peace Corps with Lynn, I didn't really know what I was going to do with my life when I came home. It was really very uncertain. And we returned in April of 1967. And shortly before coming home, I had seen an employment bulletin that the Peace Corps sent out to all of the volunteers in the field. It was called the Green Sheet. It was printed on green paper. And one of the employment possibilities was from the American Ethical Union, which I had never heard of before. And it said, if you're interested in working with children, working with adults, and in the community, and perhaps even mentioned social change, but I don't recall, it said, apply. So I applied. I applied 2 places. The only 2 possibilities that I thought that I was going to be, where I would spend my life. This may be one. I needed to find out more about it. The other was I had applied for an accelerated master's in teaching program at Fairleigh Dickinson University, and I thought I'd wind up as a teacher. So the interview that I had with Howard Radist was along the line, was very affable, it was maybe an hour long, and it went terrific. I said, this is, wow, the way he explained ethical culture to me, that's exactly what I was hoping that it might be. I didn't know there was such an institution that embodied all of this. This was great. And then he says, the last thing in the interview was, and well, how do you feel about officiating at funerals? That's the first I heard of the pastoral dimension of ethical leadership. Now, I'm not quick on my feet in answering things that I know later the next day. Well, I should have said that. So I mumbled something totally non-committal about how I felt about officiating at funerals. And they said, well, basically, I need some time to think about it. So the next interview I had was at Fairleigh Dickinson. And that interview also went really well. They were happy to have me. And they said, oh, and we'll place you in a school. That will be your internship in a high school. And they said, and how do you feel about the fact that you're going to have to shave your beard off? This was 1967. Now that one, I didn't have to think the next day what I was going to say. My answer was, thank you very much. You won't see me again. Which now left only one choice, which was becoming an ethical leader and figuring out how I felt about funerals, which is what happened. So in September 1967, the American Ethical Union, mainly Howard Radist and Ed Erickson, decided that I should become an intern at the Long Island Ethical Society. I would work under an established leader who would then be able to guide me. That was the extent of the training program. There was no formal training program. It was really mentorship. So I was there in September, and I occasionally saw the leader, not a whole lot. And then in April, not a long time after I was there, in April I get a call from the president of the Long Island Society who says, well, our leader has just told us that he is leaving, and he's gotten on his yacht and he's sailed with his wife down to the Caribbean. We've had some discussion, and we would like to know if you would want to be our leader. And I said, I guess. I sort of knew what it entailed, but not a whole lot. But my thinking was much like when I had joined the Peace Corps, which is I grew up in Brooklyn and Queens. Lynn was from Teaneck, New Jersey, and the Peace Corps decides to send us to rural Kenya, where we were going to be working in something that was called Rural Community Action. I knew nothing about anything having to do with rural anything. And I figured if the Peace Corps thought enough that we could do this, who am I to say no? Maybe they know more than I do. So when society asked me to become a leader, I said, why not try? I mean, whatever I was thinking, if I was able or not able to do it, some people thought I was able to do it. What's the worst that can happen? The worst that happens after 6 months, after a year, I'll find that it was a disaster. Then I go back to the Masters in Art teaching program at Fairleigh. Well, it didn't work out that way, obviously. So in April of 1968, the Long Island Society asked me to become the leader. And then in May of 2001, I retired from the Long Island Society and have remained really a very active member since. The society is only 5 miles from my house. There really is no other society nearby. That's where I've made my home. It's where I've lived all of these years, both in a professional capacity and a capacity as a member, leader emeritus. And as I go through the various aspects of what it means to be a leader, I think about what I have done and what are the things that turned out to be the most rewarding for me. Here's what I have come up with. It was the joy of baby naming ceremonies and the welcoming of children, including my own grandchildren. It was the happiness of celebrating weddings with couples, including my own children. It was also the burden of hearing and keeping confidences, where people would tell me things that they would not tell anybody else, and I have never told anyone else some of the things that I have heard. And it's also been the pain of separation, that is, the memorials, the funeral services, and the visiting of hospitals with people as they were dying. That's what leadership has been for me. Of course, there was the social action, the community involvement, social justice, public affairs, we called it lots of different things. Lots of things I've done in the community on the behalf of the society, in the name of the society, which I still continue to do. So I'm not diminishing any of that. But I am saying that for me, the things that were really turned out to be the most important and the most significant were the things that were really the most personal. I recently came across an article, it was an address of Felix Adler's, that I had once read a long time ago and really had forgotten. It was published by Felix Adler in 1889, and it was entitled The Three Aims of an Ethical Society. So Adler reduced it to three. Here are the three. One was teach supremacy of the moral ends. That is, what is our life about? Our life is to fulfill being those the moral principles, what you might call human flourishing. There are lots of terms we could use for it, but that is what the purpose of the ethical society is. The supremacy of that, the relationships that we have, there's nothing more important. Second goal, to teach morality or ethics, not as being contingent upon religious or philosophical theories. That is, it's out of our experiences, out of our reasoning, out of our human beings that we understand what ethics is. We do not turn to any supernatural authority for this. And the third aim, the advancement of science and the art of right living. The third is the one that I have focused on. So what have I learned about right living? I've had 60 years almost 59 years of thinking about this. That's what I was paid for 33 years, to think about this. What is it? Felix Adler was able to reduce the aims of an ethical society to 3. I've been able to, in my way I look at this, reduce the aims, not the values and virtues of ethical living to 4 things. I see them as roots, if you'd like, stems, use whatever metaphor you like. But out of each of these, there are many, many extensions that cover, as I think about it, almost everything about how we live. So here's what I've come up with. Be kind. It's not easy all the time, but be kind. Be kind to people that you know. Be kind to people that you don't know. Be kind to people that you'll never meet. But have your heart set on kindness. Be kind. The second is be just. That is, be fair. Be fair to everybody. Make sure that everybody has a fair chance in this world. Be fair to the people that you interact with all the time, because it's easy to say that I want what's mine. Be fair to the people that will never know. Be fair to the people who live elsewhere. People who, and most of this is true of most of the world, be fair to those people who have less than we do. So it's be kind, be fair, be responsible. Don't say it's up to somebody else. Someone else will do it. I don't want to. I'm too busy. Be responsible. And fourth is be humble. We are no better than anybody else, and conversely, nobody is better than we are. Be humble. Felix Adler said, humility is the crowning grace of all. Very interesting. Be humble. I want to end with a question that I put into a poem. So if you like poetry, good. If you don't, I'm sorry, this is the way I'm ending. The poem is, here it is. Who will remember to always water trees, or plant apples and plums in autumn? Forests care for themselves, but gardens and orchards, who will care for them as we slide through the earth, lighter than blue doves and flying more splendid than jungle birds of paradise? So thank you again for this wonderful award. I was hoping it was a fountain pen.
What would you like?
A fountain pen.
A fountain pen. He wanted a fountain pen. I'm sorry. But instead, we're going to be giving him this lovely piece, which I hope he likes. The American Ethical Union presents. The American Ethical Union presents Dr. Arthur Dobrin the Felix Adler Lifetime Achievement Award in recognition of many years of service on behalf of the ethical culture movement, July 25th, 2026. Thank you. Hold on tight, it's glass. Yeah, thank you so much.
Trank. Hello, everyone. Let's take a moment to recognize our musicians for today. Those who met on the road during a joint Hello, Mary, bleary-eyed U.S. tour back in 2024. Immediately drawn to each other's openness to experimentation, that's for us, and off-kilter songwriting approach. With Trusselina, the pair began collecting and arranging a hodgepodge of sounds and influences from resampled noise, field recordings, acoustic instruments, living together in Philadelphia and mostly playing in the DIY scene there. The term DIY stands for do-it-yourself, and it reflects a philosophy of self-management, creativity, and community. So let's welcome Trusselina. in the budding social work school in New York, basically helping to create the profession. So the AEU Anna Garlin Spencer Volunteer Award recognizes lay members of any AEU member organization in good standing for their significant voluntary contributions to the success of their society and of the AEU. The AEU presents the award on behalf of the AEU and each nominating society. So I'd like to call up Scott Wright, our AEU President, to present the Anna Garlin Spencer Awards for this year. Come on, Scott.
All right, thank you, Richard. Yes, please. All right. To provide context for each awardee, I will be reading the nomination statement that each society provided in the awards application. It is my honor to announce these individuals whose nominations voted. Hopefully everyone's okay. It's my honor to announce these individuals whose nominations were accepted unanimously by the AEU Board of Directors. After the awardee's statement, as I read, I ask the awardee or a proxy, if they are present, and the president or representative of that society to come up to receive the certificate and get a picture. Okay. First up, we have Fiona Bonham. Fiona Bonham, yeah, sure. Fiona Bonham is a longtime committed member of Brooklyn Ethical. She was involved as a parent improving the ethical education program, as a board member in improving governance and operations, and as a guide in helping to find a new meeting location. She took on the difficult responsibility of fixing and reorganizing BSEC's financial data in anticipation of the sale of the meeting house. As a treasurer, she restructured the chart of accounts, hired and trained bookkeepers, and reconciled data across multiple fiscal years, an exacting task requiring many hours of detailed work. For these reasons and more, we honor Fiona Bonham with the Anna Garlin Spencer Award. All right, one more time. Thank you. No, round of applause, yes. Next we have Ken and Susan Pfeiffer from Long Island. Susan and Ken first joined the Ethical Society of Long Island in 1981, shortly after their marriage. As an interfaith couple, they were looking for a community in which to raise future children that one day would also reflect their strong commitment to social action. Susan has built her career around advancing employment equity for underserved populations, while Ken has dedicated his professional life to public health, both as an administrator and an educator. Over their 45 years with the Society, the Pfeiffers' involvement has continually evolved. They've held various board officer positions, chaired numerous committees, been active members of the Sunday School Parents Group, served as board liaisons to the youth group, and hosted fundraisers and retreats in their home. Susan has spearheaded many community-focused grants through her work with the Wheel Fund Social Action Project. She has co-chaired the Community Day for Women Who Work at Roosevelt Raceway, led an annual initiative to provide back to community bags for formerly incarcerated people through her partnership with New Hour, and is currently helping to coordinate back-to-school backpack projects for a local foster care agency. In addition, Susan has long chaired the Society's Human Resources Committee. Ken currently serves as the Society's vice president, and together the Pfeiffers played a leading role in organizing the Society's 75th anniversary celebration last year. 2 years ago, When the Society's Social Action Director left to take a full-time position elsewhere, the Pfeiffers stepped in to fill the role. Recognizing the urgency of the moment, they have developed strong partnerships with other Long Island-based organizations to broaden the Society's outreach and impact. Their efforts have engaged members in food rescue initiatives, clothing drives with Hope for Youth, door-to-door campaigns through Ground Truth, and voter engagement efforts. Most recently, they have involved members in training to serve as poll watchers, and they remain deeply committed to expanding meaningful social action opportunities with the Society. Please welcome the Pfeiffers. And we got Ken. Let's get a picture of that. Yeah, open it up.
Hold on.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for printing. All right. I appreciate you bearing with me as we try to get through these as expediently as possible while also honoring the commitments and dedication of every volunteer. Next, we have Diana and Ed Gross. Yeah. Diana and Ed Gross joined the Bergen Ethical Culture Society in 1983 and have contributed in many different ways over the years. Both served as president and vice president of the board. Diana has a long history with the Sunday School. She spent 11 years as the director and later 3 years as a teacher. As director, she developed the mentoring program for graduates and created the graduation ceremony, still in use after 35 years. She also instituted monthly family platforms for Sunday school community and brought a UU course called About Your Sexuality to our 12 to 14-year-olds. She also served on the National RE Committee for 5 years. Separately, Diana created the Center for Ethical Parenting, providing workshops and resources for Sunday school families, and co-taught a series of classes called Embracing Ethical Culture for new members. Both Diana and Ed have chaired the nominating committee and the membership committee. Diana ran the latter several times, during which she created the new member introduction ceremony. She has been the chair of the caring committee for many years. Together, they created the Community Circle, a monthly alternative platform designed to bring the voices of the congregation into the platform. The idea, which grew out of the 5-year plan committee on which they both served and ran for 10 years. Ed has chaired 3 committees, the Adult Education and Platform once each, as well as Promotions and Publications several times, during which he created and produced a TV commercial for cable, updated the copy for all society literature, and was part of the initial effort to create an online presence. He was also one of the 2 members who served as director for a year of local cable TV shows that spotlighted the best of the society. During COVID, Ed took it on himself to run a movie group that met on Zoom and interviewed about 25 members about their life stories for videos still available on the Society's website. Ed has written clever headlines for the Skills Auction catalog for decades and has taken on its chairmanship for the past 3 years. For these reasons and more, we honor Diana and Ed Gross for the Anna Garlin Spencer Award. Ed. And Erika. Thank you again. All right, next we have Eric Johnson. Eric Johnson has been an integral part of the Ethical Society of Mid-Rivers in various roles for the last 2 decades. When his children were young, he became an important supporter of the Ethical Society Education for Kids program. He serves as the chair of Facilities Committee and was instrumental in discovering the space, negotiating the lease agreements and architectural work, and supervising improvements, frequently doing the physical work himself. He volunteers on the committee to preside over platforms, and as a paramedic and retired fire department captain, has presented hands-on CPR training for members. He has served on the fundraising committee, not only helping to organize and implement successful events, but often setting up, cleaning up, and hosting. Trivia nights, Film Watchers Club, Oktoberfests, drag bingo games, whatever's going on, he's making it happen. For these reasons and more, we honor Eric Johnson for the Anna Garlin Spencer Award. So we will be sending Eric's certificate to him in the mail. We do not have Eric or the Mid-Rivers representative here tonight, but we thank him. Next, we have Phyllis Marquette. Phyllis Marquette is a valued member of the Susquehanna Valley Ethical Society who generously shares her time, knowledge, and skills, helping Susquehanna offer programs, organize events, and publicize in ways that would not have been possible without her. She serves as the Susquehanna Board Secretary, chairs the Ethical Action Committee, and represents SVES in the community. She also handles important behind-the-scenes work, including preparing the room for platform meetings and events and responding to member requests. Her involvement, enthusiasm, and commitment have made her a cornerstone of SVES, helping to build a stronger sense of unity, belonging, and a shared purpose for members and the wider community. For these reasons and more, we honor Phyllis Marquette for the Anna Garlin Spencer Award. And accepting on behalf will be Patty Arduini of SVES. All right, thank you. Next, we have Stephen Meskin. Stephen Meskin has served on the Baltimore Ethical Society Board many times, including as president and treasurer. He served on, make sure this is the right, yes, he's as president and treasurer. He served on AEU's board several times and brought his learning as a graduate of the Humanist Institute to bear during the time he chaired the Baltimore's program committee. In the mid-90s, Stephen developed Summer Sundays where members speak or lead informal and often interactive programs based on their expertise or studies. This tradition has proved so popular that they sometimes have more member-led programs on offer than slots to fill. Stephen's thoughtfulness and creativity have provided stability at crucial times and create lasting memories. For these reasons and more, we honor Stephen Meskin with the Anna Garlin Spencer Award. Thank you. Okay, yes. Next we have Evie Nilashi. If I said that right? All right. Evie Nilashi has been an active member of the Northern Virginia Ethical Society all her life. From Sunday school student to platform speaker, she's a founding member along with a former Noves member and current vice president of the board of La Mano Amiga, which provides funds for Honduran adults coming out of foster care. She lobbied throughout Virginia, successfully passing the finance reform resolution and advocating to get big money out of politics. She educated the public on the political process and excels in high school academically and as president of the Fashion Club and captain of the girls lacrosse team. For these reasons and more, we honor Evie Nilashi as with the Anna Garlin Spencer Award. All right, next we have Bob and Kathy Pickard from St. Louis. Bob and Kathy Pickard have been decades-long members. Kathy Pickard is a former president of the St. Louis Board of Trustees. They are the champions, and they bring their passion to Climate Action Now, a group that they bring their leadership to in St. Louis to help us move forward our green initiatives. And most recently, they have served on multiple leader search task forces. For these reasons and more, we recognize Bob and Kathy Pickard for the Anna Garlin Spencer Award and invite Clark, St. Louis president, up to accept the award on their behalf. Thank you. Janine Roche. Janine Roche has been the backbone of the Essex County Society for decades. She is again serving as treasurer and is on the platform committee helping to select speakers and topics, plus leading colloquies with warmth, wisdom, and wit. A talented musician, she often leads Essex with music and song. For a number of years, she has served as MC of the fundraising New Year's Eve party and hosted summer ice cream socials, generously providing refreshments. That generosity surfaces in various ways, providing financial help as well as kind counsel to those in need. For these reasons and more, we honor Janine Roche with the Anna Garlin Spencer Award. All right, we'll get that award to Essex to make sure Janine gets it. Patricia Taylor. Patricia Taylor has been a member of the Ethical Society of Austin since 2010. She's used her communication skills and put herself in the line to serve as a representative of ethics in word and deed. This includes joining secular advocacy events in Washington, D.C., No Kings protests, and in a bright red state, authoring a regular column for the Jenna Times to highlight local history for all residents of the north central Louisiana area, and writing news reports about local demonstrations against ICE. For these reasons and more, we honor Patricia Taylor with the Anna Garlin Spencer Award. Okay. Thank you very much. Rich Wash. How many hats can a person wear at one time? If you're Rich Wash, that's more than 12. Upon joining the Ethical Human Society of Asheville more than 10 years ago, Rich quickly became an active volunteer, first taking on the redesign and publication of the platform meeting brochures. As our unofficial publications manager, he prepares the EHSA member name tags, the descriptive society brochure, the e-newsletter, and meeting notices. He is the program committee chairperson, arranging our monthly platform meetings, vice president and treasurer of the board. As our information technology specialist, Rich designs and manages the website and is the Zoom account manager. At the AEU level, he is the EHSA representative on the President's Council. He is active on the communications committee and volunteers with the team that is redesigning the AEU website. With all of these hats, the Ethical Humanist Society of Asheville thinks Rich is about 20 feet tall and celebrates his receipt of the Anna Garlin Spencer Award. For these reasons and more, we honor Rich Wash with the Anna Garlin Spencer Award. Sylvia Metzler and Eric Young. Eric and Sylvia are members of the Philadelphia Ethical Society. They co-chair the PES Ending Racism Task Force and have been fighting racism for many years within the society and the wider community. For these reasons and more, we honor Sylvia and Eric with the Anna Garlin Spencer Award. All right, thank you for bearing with me on that. That concludes our Anna Garlin Spencer Awards. I'd like to invite Richard back up to the stage to take it away, but thank you all.
So the secret's out. We know what it takes. The work of these volunteers and so many others to make societies really work and to be contributions to their communities. So I want to thank all of you who came out tonight to celebrate those who are continuing to make this impact and within the ethical culture movement and beyond. All the awardees exhibit what it takes to bring deed before creed. So everything, all the awards are granted. We're finished with that, but we still have some food left. So we have some carriers, some folders. Take leftovers with you, and because that's what Carmine of the Upper West Side requires. We have to finish our plates. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the evening, and it's great to be with you all.